Now, over the last two episodes, I gave you the why and the what. I gave you why progressive overload is the engine of all your results, and I gave you what the four foundational lifts are and how to perform them correctly. Today, I'm going to put it all together because here's the truth, right? You can understand every principle that I talk about and still walk into the gym with no idea of what to actually do today because knowledge without structure is just trivia. So today, I'm going to help you build a structure of a workout. And by the end of this episode, you'll have an actual program, like not some vague idea, but you'll have a written plan that you can follow starting your very next session. Y'all ready? You know what it is. Play my intro now. What's good? It is Frank. Welcome back to the Make It Make Sense podcast, where I do my best to make it make sense. This is episode 4 of the Body Blueprint series, Pillar Strength. If you haven't watched episodes 2 and 3, I need you to pause this, go watch those first, because everything today is going to build directly on top of them. Here's how today is going to be structured. I'm going to walk you through 5 decisions in order that every program is built from. How many days you train, how many sets and reps you do, which exercises you choose, and how it all fits into a week, and how you know when it's time to change things up. By the time I'm done with you today, you'll be able to build a program for yourself or at least evaluate the one that you're currently on to see if it makes sense. Now, the first decision that you'll have to make is how many days a week are you actually going to train? Not in a perfect world, realistically. Be honest with yourself because this decision drives everything else. Now, here's the research backed sweet spot for most people in their first couple of years of training. Each major muscle group needs to be trained roughly twice per week for maximum growth. Not once, not 5 times, just twice. That's the frequency target that gives you the best results for your effort. Now, how do you hit that frequency? A few options. Option 1, you got to have the upper lower split. 4 days a week, 2 upper days, 2 lower body days. This is what I recommend for most people, and it's the one that I use as the foundation when I was speaking on this in episode 3. It's going to hit everything twice, and it's flexible if you miss a day, so because it doesn't require you to be in the gym 5 separate times. Then you have option 2 for people that are a bit more busy. It's full body workouts 3 days a week. If you can only commit to 3 days, then full body sessions, for example, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, still give you that twice per week frequency on most muscle groups. Each session is a bit longer, but the principle does still hold. Then you have option 3, the push-pull leg split. This is 6 days a week. This is for more advanced lifters with the time and recovery capacity to train almost daily. I do not recommend starting here. It's easy to convince yourself, however, though, that this is what serious people do. But if you can't recover from it, more training days just means more fatigue, not more muscle. So here's my honest recommendation, and I'll say it plainly. If you're not certain, just start with the 4-day upper lower split. It's the structure that I built in episode 3. It hits the sweet spot and it gives you a built-in rest day between most sessions. Now, you can always add days later because remember, you can't unburn yourself out, but you can burn yourself out. And one more thing on this, whatever split that you do choose, commit to it for at least 8 weeks before you change it. Because I got to tell you, program hopping is one of the biggest reasons people don't see results. Your body needs consistency to adapt. Pick a structure, trust it, and give it time to work. Let me give you an example for the next decision. 2 lifters do the exact same exercises, but get completely different results, right? One trains with 3 sets for 5 reps for raw strength. The other changes 4 sets, 10 reps for muscle size. Same movements, different numbers, different outcomes. Why this is because it's important how much sets and reps matter. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. So let me simplify it for you. A thing I like to say with my clients when I'm training is KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. You're not going to reinvent the wheel with working out. You're just going to find a program that works for you, and you're going to stick to it. Now, I want to give you 3 zones because almost everything fits into one of these zones, and this is going to help you when you're deciding the number of reps you do per set um, for the for what your particular goal is. Let's say we have zone 1. With this one, you're going to have 1 to 5 reps. This is the strength zone. Heavy weight, low reps, longer rest periods. 2 to 5 minutes between sets, possibly, because this builds maximal strength and it's excellent for your primary compound lifts when strength is your main goal. Then you have zone 2. This is going to be 6 to 12 reps. This is the muscle building zone. Moderate weight, moderate reps, 60 to 90 seconds rest. And if your goal is to build muscle and improve your physique, the majority of your training should live right here. And then you have zone 3, 13 plus reps. This is the endurance and metabolic zone. You're going to use lighter weights, you're going to have higher reps, and you're going to have shorter rest. Now, it has a place, particularly for some accessory work and conditioning, but it's not the most efficient zone for building muscle or for building strength on its own. Here's how I want you to think about applying this. For most people whose goal is body recomposition, which, if you remember in my earlier episode, is building muscle while losing fat. Your primary compound lifts should live in the 5 to 8 rep range. And then your accessory exercises should live in the 8 to 12 rep range. This blend will give you a strength development on your big lifts, and then it'll give you muscle building volume on everything else. Now, when we get to sets, for each exercise, 3 to 4 sets is the standard starting point, right? Research shows smaller returns if you go beyond that for most people, especially when you're training each muscle group twice a week. More sets isn't always better. Better execution of fewer sets beats sloppy execution of more sets every single time. Your total weekly volume, that's your sets per muscle group per week, should land somewhere between 10 and 20 sets for most muscle groups when you add up both training days. If you're doing 4 sets of bench press on upper A and then 3 sets of incline press on the same day, that's already 7 sets for chest. And then you've got another upper day this week too, so it adds up fast. So you don't need to chase more, you just want to chase efficiency. You need to chase the right amount done well. Now, every session should have a clear hierarchy. You're going to have 1 primary compound lift that gets you best effort, followed by accessory movements that is supported. Now, knowing the difference is what keeps a program organized instead of random. So your third decision, which exercises actually go into each session? And here's where the 4 compound lifts from episode 3 become the skeleton of your entire program. Every session should follow this hierarchy. 1 primary lift, 2 to 3 secondary or accessory lifts, and then if you have the time, you can do 2 isolation movements at the end if you feel you have the energy and you can recover from it. The primary lift is one of your big 4: squat, deadlift, bench, row, and it goes first in the session every time while you're the freshest. This is where you chase the progressive overload target. This is the lift that you log. This lift you care about most. You care most about this lift to hold because your entire session is going to be built around that primary lift. Your secondary or accessory lifts come next. These are still compound movements, but they support the primary lift or target a muscle group that needs more direct work, aka your areas of improvement. On a squat day, that might be RDLs or Romanian deadlifts for the hamstrings and the glutes, or a leg press for additional quad value. Now, these get solid effort, but they're not where you're chasing personal records every week. Isolation movements are last. You want to think like bicep curls, tricep extensions, calf raises, lateral raises. These are single joint, single muscle, lower states. These are the finishing touches. If you're tired or you're short on time, like these are the first things to trim. Never off your primary lift. You don't want to do that. One mistake that I do see constantly is people will front load their isolation work because it's fun and it feels good, and then they're exhausted by the time they get to their primary, say a squat or bench press. Now that's backwards. Heavy compound work first, always. Your nervous system needs to be fresh for the lift. That matters the most. Here's a practical filter for choosing accessories, and ask yourself, does this exercise support my primary lift or address a weakness? If a yes, or if a yes, it earns a spot. That didn't make any sense. Here's a practical filter for choosing accessories. When you get to the accessory muscles, ask yourself, does this exercise support my primary lift or does it address a weakness? If it's yes to either, then it earns a spot. If the honest answer is, I just like doing it, that's fine, but it goes at the very end after the work that matters the most. All right, so now I'm going to give you the blueprint, right? Because here's everything from this episode combined into one complete, ready to use weekly program. Copy it, adjust the numbers to your level, and you have your starting point. All right, so let's put it all together. Let's do 4 days a week, upper lower split. Primary lifts in the 5 to 8 rep range, accessories in the 8 to 12 rep range, and 3 to 4 sets each. Here's what a full week is going to look like. All right, day one, we're going to do lower A. Our primary is squat. Our accessories are going to be Romanian deadlifts or RDLs, leg press, and then some core work. In that primary lift, we're going to keep our ranges of 4 sets, 5 reps, and then in those accessories, we're going to do 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps. On day two, we're going to have the bench press. You're going to have, we're going to do as the primary, bench press is the primary, incline dumbbell press as the accessory, overhead press, triceps. For that primary lift, again, we're going to stick to 4 sets, 5 reps, and then for the accessory exercises, we're going to stick to the 3 sets, 10 to 12 rep range. On day 3, we're going to do an active recovery. Do some walking, do some mobility, do some light stretching. If you yoga, do yoga, anything except lifting weights. All right. And then we're going to get right back to it on day 4 with the second lower body workout, or lower B. In this workout, we're going to do deadlifts as the primary. As the accessories, we're going to have leg curls, single leg work, and then some grip work. And then in that primary range, we're going to have 3 sets, about 5 reps each. Accessories are going to be 3 sets also, but the 10 to 12 rep range. And then on day 5, that second upper day, or upper B, our primary is going to be barbell row. Our accessories will be lat pull down, face pulls, biceps. Your primary is going to be 4 sets, 6 to 8 reps, and then your accessories are going to stick in that 3 sets, 10 to 12 rep range. And then on day 6 and 7, you rest. Full recovery, and this is where you want to prioritize sleep. Did you notice that structure? Lower A and lower B aren't the same workout. One is squat focused, and then the other is deadlift focused. Same with upper A and upper B. One is a pressing forward, and one is a pulling focus. Now, that's intentional. It gives each muscle group its twice a week frequency without just repeating the same session and getting bored or overly fatigued in the same movement pattern. Now, for the primary lifts, remember, you're chasing progressive overload every single week. The double progression method that I covered in episode 2. For accessories, aim for the same principle, both a bit more flexibility. If you hit the top of your rep range on all sets, add weight next time. Now remember, this is just a template. It's not gospel. And if your gym doesn't have a particular piece of equipment, swap it for something that hits the same muscle group with similar movement pattern. The structure matters more than the exact exercise names. And notice there are rest days built in, day 3 and day 6 through 7. Now, that's not by accident, that's definitely by design, and it is not optional. I covered why in the pillar episodes regarding recovery. Rest is a part of your program, not a break from it. Now, I know this is going to hurt a lot of people, but I'm going to break a myth here. Changing your program every week or two just because you're bored or you saw something new online is one of the most common reasons people never see results. Your body needs repetition to adapt, and a program needs time to prove whether it's working. So, your last decision, when do you actually change this program? Because I guarantee you, in about 3 weeks, you're going to see something on social media that looks more exciting and you're going to want to switch. Don't. Here's the rule: run this program for a minimum of 8 weeks before making any major changes. 8 to 12 weeks is the real target. Now, that's enough time for your body to adapt, for your progressive overload numbers to actually move, and for you to honestly evaluate whether the structure is working. Now, that doesn't mean that nothing changes in the program for 8 weeks. Small adjustments, of course, are normal. Swapping an accessory exercise because of equipment availability, or adjusting a rep range slightly if something feels off, now, or adding a set if recovery allows. Those are tweaks. What I'm talking about is not blowing up the entire structure because you're bored or because you saw someone online doing something different. After 8 to 12 weeks, here's what a real program change looks like. If your primary lifts are still progressing, weight going up, reps going up, you don't really need to change much. Maybe shift your rep range slightly, maybe introduce a new accessory exercise for variety. If your primary lifts have plateaued for several weeks, even if you have good recovery, that's your signal for a bigger shift. Maybe a deload, like I covered in the recovery episodes, and then maybe a new rep range or a new exercise variation for that particular lift. The pattern I want you to internalize is this: build the program, trust the program, track the program, and only after a real evaluation period, change the program. Now, that cycle repeated over months and years is what separates people who transform their bodies from people who stay busy without ever arriving anywhere. Here's your challenge this week: take the sample program we just built, or your own version of it based on what we covered, and write it down. Not in your head, but put it on paper, in your phone, in an app like the FranklyPHit personalized app with your own customized workout program that you're going to DM me for later, so you get your own. Um, but or but what? So we have a real document with days, sets, exercises, and reps. Then take it into the gym this week and run day one. Just day one is a challenge. Log your numbers. That's it. That's the entire challenge. Turn what you heard today into your first log session. Drop a comment below. Tell me which split you chose, 4-day upper lower or the 3-day full body, which primary lift you're starting with this week. I want to see this community building real programs, all right? I want to see what you're actually learning, not just watching the videos. And hey, if this video gave you the clarity you needed, share with someone who's been bouncing random workouts with no plan. This episode might be exactly what gets them started for real. Now, on the next episode, I'm going to move into pillar 2, nutrition. And I'm going to start with one of the biggest myths in fitness: why eating less actually makes you fatter. If you've ever crash dieted and you gained the weight back, you don't want to miss that episode, trust me. Now, so you don't miss that episode, subscribe, hit the bell, share with someone who needs a plan. Yo, y'all know who it is. It's Coach Frank. This is the Make It Make Sense Health and Fitness Podcast, where I do my best to make it make sense to get you on the road to being the better you. Go log day one. Y'all know the motto: be grinding or be nothing. Peace.
Frank, hey,